Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sam's Bead Shop. My name is Shyra, and I hope you are ready for class. I feel like I need like a teacher bell or something, and maybe that's just the former teacher in me that I'm like, oh, I need to have like a bell that I can ring-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling and greet everyone and call everyone into class. Happy Friday to each and every one of you. And if you're watching the replay, so glad that you're stopping in with us today. We're going to be playing with color. I am not afraid of color. I love color. And so since it's been Brio month in the shop, just thought maybe we take some of our Brios and we take some colors and we play around with them. Just going to say a quick hello to everyone who is popping in. So glad you can join us. Hello. Ooh, from vacation in New Jersey beaches. What? From North Carolina. Hello. Oh, Galen, how hot is it in Sacramento today? Hello, Julie and Danielle and Vivian. So grateful for all of you joining me today. So a Brio, right? They come in many different shapes, of course, many different sizes. And typically we tend to wire wrap them and hang them as a little dangle or anything. But since it's been Brio month, I got to thinking, well, yes, absolutely. I love my dangles on everything, but can I use them in a different way? And so I started playing around with just Brios and wire because I love using wire, and made a little bit of a flower. And then I thought, oh, this is a nice pendant. Could be great earrings as well. And strung that together. So let's take a look. Let me go back to my side to side. Our project today is going to start. Notice I said start because I have the feeling that we'll be finished this one in time to maybe play around with some other things. Taking some pear brios today, wire wrapping them into a quick little flower, kind of very basic flower, and then wire wrapping some 3mm gems around them, and of course that gorgeous new apatite that we have in the shop to create a flower-inspired necklace. Now, of course, could be a pendant, could be a necklace, could see it as a brooch. Also is super tempted just to have it as a bracelet piece. Like, can you even imagine? I like big jewelry too. So making like 5 or 6 of them and connecting them as a bracelet, that seems like a great weekend project that I would like to do. So what I'd like to talk about is the beads that we'll be using today. Now, I like my options. And so I pulled out, of course, the ones that I used in the example piece, but then some different ones as well. So we're starting with, of course, this pile of delicious apatite. And then I have 2 brios, the peach moonstone, which of course is the one that I used in my necklace. And then if you know me, you know I had to pull out some of the amethyst pear brios as well. The other beads were beads that were from our latest bead box, Citrus Celebrations. So I have the 3mm peridot. I have the Orion spacers. Love the shape. It's just so useful in so many different ways. Then I have the seed beads out. I did not use seed beads in my piece, but you know, it's a Friday. It's the afternoon. Maybe there'll be some inspiration there. And then I have also on my palette just what I'm calling my emotional support beads, also from the box, just in case. Like to have the options. All right, so in terms of findings, you're going to need a clasp of some kind. I used jump rings as well. So a couple of crimps. I used these 2x2s. And let's see. Oh, I guess I forgot a bead. So thought that chrome diopside might be a beautiful colorway to go, especially if you're going to use something other than the peach moonstone, although that's pretty too. So these lovely green ones, really any 3mm faceted round would work really well. I considered a 4mm, but it just turned out to be a little too clunky for the size of these brios. All right, in terms of tools, I always like to show you, I appreciate seeing what kinds of tools that I might need for a project, and so I always like to start off that way. Of course, you're going to need flush cutters, round nose pliers. I like my long needle chain nose pliers. And then if we have time to explore and play around a little, which I'm assuming we will, we have some bail making pliers, because this is one of my favorite tools to use when working with wire. I've got some soft flex in medium. This is the satin silver color. And then for wire, I'm going to be using 26 gauge copper wire. Right. Well, let me look. I think I've talked about everything that I have. And of course, I'm me. So I pulled out some extra things, but I don't think we'll get to those. But you never know, right? We only have an hour together. Let's make great use of our time. Boutique Diva, I'm glad that you made it. Shall we begin? First off, is anyone beading with me? Because I'm here by myself, so would love to know that if you are beading with me as well. So we're going to get started pretty simply with taking our 26 gauge wire, and we are going to cut a piece off. Now, I tend to do jewelry a little bit looser than I do when I'm cooking. Maybe you're like me, and like when you're cooking, I like to prepare everything beforehand. I will have a million little containers with all of the appropriate ingredients out, and then I will make sure that everything is combined in the right way. When I'm beading, all of that accuracy, all of that efficiency, that kind of goes by the wayside. And so when I say cut a piece of wire, like feel it in your soul. Maybe it's a long piece, maybe it's a shorter piece. But let's just say you are going to need about, I would say about 6 inches to be safe, right? We never, ever want to wind up playing wire chicken where you just don't have enough. So I'm going to cut 6 inches of wire to get started with the flower. So tell me, which one should I use? Because I'm open to either. Should I use the peach moonstone? Should I use the amethyst? Should I combine them? Inquiring minds want to know. This is a viewer makes the choice type of situation here. I can see myself just going for the peach moonstone. I think it's beautiful. But I kind of like the amethyst. All right, Wendy saying amethyst. Ooh, Galen saying combined. I like the idea of combining. All right, let's see what that would look like if I combined it. So I'm pulling out a tiny little white tray just so that I can plot and plan. For my flower, I used 6 brios. And so let's see what that looks like if I pull 3 from there and 3 from there. And the good thing about our brios in the shop from this buyout that we had is that they're all pretty much the same size. So they're interchangeable. All right, if I'm going this way and this way, and this way, and this way, and this way, because of course, one must have symmetry in one's life. What do you think? Combined? We can also just do amethyst. Rachel Malice, of course. You know me too well. I promise you amethyst is involved in some way. All right, so that's what it looks like if I were to combine them. And I mean, I suppose I could just do 3s and 3s, but where's the fun in that? All right, here's what it would look like if I just did the 6 amethyst. That one's a little dinky. You can't have a dinky amethyst. Oh my goodness. This tray likes to spin things around. All right, so I've got purple. I've got mixed. Just amethyst will show better. Combining all amethyst. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely going to be making an all amethyst one at some point. What if we had time to do a combined one and then 2 amethyst ones and then have 3 flowers? I think we can aim for that. What is it? It's 11 minutes in. Maybe we'll try to aim for that. Okay, so I'm going to get started then with combined. Now here's where it gets tricky because my 3mm beads are in peridot. So the question is, does lime green go with both peach and purple? And if you're me, the answer is always yes. Same thing for our Orion spacers. They have this lovely sheen to them. And I think that will help pull out the tones of the peach moonstone. And of course, will contrast nicely with the amethyst. Oh, and fair warning, y'all, if I just start singing, I'm so sorry. Again, I do not like the silence. So I try to be with you as I would be at home. I hope you don't mind. All right, so to get started, it's really, this version, very simple because we're just going to string them on. And so if we look at the example, you can see we kind of start with a pear brio, and then in the middle is where I put the Orion spacer. Just lets me get that in focus for you, sorry. And Rachel, just holla at me if I am not in focus. We've got pear brio and Orion spacer, and just kind of alternate through like that. I'm glad that I am not the only one who sings and talks while beading. So I'm going to do a spacer. All right, here we go with the combined flower. Combined. Did not consider that until now. Don't know what it'll look like. It may be a horrible idea. Just kidding. It's not going to be a horrible idea. All right. So with just the spacer, what we're going to get is a much tighter flower. And totally okay to do that. I've made a couple like that before. An alternate version would be to also use some of the peridot in between. And that would make a larger flower that's a little bit more tight. And it looks like this pear brio needs some help. So I'm going to take it off. I am at work. So I am at the office. I can hear Rachel and Sam upstairs. And normally I would be annoying Jesse, but he just left. That is my job, to annoy Jesse. All right. So I'm going to alternate. Oh, I'm already liking this color combination. Thank you to everyone who voted combined. Don't get me wrong. I love the amethyst as well. But I think combined is going to be something special. All right. As long as I don't mess up the pattern. How many of you have ever started working on a pattern, even a simple pattern, and then you finish and you look at your piece and there's one mistake in the middle? That happened a lot with me when I was trying to knit. When my poor grandmother was attempting to teach me to knit, and finally I got to the point where I was like, you know what? There are many crafts I am good at. Knitting is not one of them. All right, I've got another purple. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. Purple. Sorry, y'all, I'm blind, so sometimes I gotta get the beads a little bit closer to my face. All right, and just as a reminder, the wire size that I'm using is 26 gauge. I find that it works pretty well with these pear brios, just because they're a little bit fragile. I could also see using a 28 gauge and just having a little bit more room to play around with, just for consistency's sake. 26 tends to be my favorite gauge of wire to work with. Don't know why. It's just so flexible and so versatile, and you can use it in so many different ways. I've tried once upon a time using a 30 gauge wire, and that one was not my favorite. It just broke and broke and broke and broke. Absolutely, Pamela. Just because I'm using gemstones does not mean that this would not work with so many different check options. It might even be like, I won't say more fun because I love my gemstones, but it might be fun to just have lots and lots of flowers in a necklace piece. Oh, this hole is a little bit tight. Little bit tight. Right? Kind of feeling the color combination here. I'll show you in a second, as soon as this one gets on. And then I'm going to need another Orion. Alrighty. Missing a purple. See, there I go. There I go. Messing up my pattern. All I have to do is string 6 brios and oops, mess up the pattern. Oh, that's pretty just like that. Like I would wear that just like that. But let's go ahead and turn it into a flower. So you do want to leave enough room. So I'm going to carefully move these down my wire just a bit, just to have a little bit of a tail on that end. And then it doesn't really matter for the other end. Y'all, this is pretty much it to make the frame for the flower. Because all we need to do is attach them together. Right, so I'm going to bring up my wires together. Nice and tight. Now, what you'll notice at this stage is that your brios are going to flop and go everywhere. And you're going to be like, oh no, I did something wrong. You totally did not do something wrong. That is what's supposed to happen at this stage. And that's also why we're going to do some wire wrapping with the peridot with it, or whatever 3mm bead you're going to choose. Because in doing the wire wrapping, that's what's going to stiffen up the brios and hold them into place. So once you get your wires all nice and together, and I'm a lefty, so it's probably backwards for everyone who's a right-handed person. That's okay. Reverse. I'm going to wrap the smaller tail around. So I've done it actually 2 different ways, and I'm going to tell you about each way, and you can decide which one works better for you, because really it's more of a design thing. So you can just take this wire and wrap it around in the traditional way and then make your loop from the longer one. You could also just hold them both together. If you are someone who likes copper or whatever metal plating you're using as an element, and maybe you're throwing in some copper beads or something like that, you can hold them together, make your loop, and wrap around, and then the bail becomes a little bit more visible in your piece. I am not using extra copper beads, so I'm going to take this around. And I think you guys know, if you watched a class before, that I tend to like feel the wire in my soul. So I'm actually going to get it started with my fingers, and then I'll come in, hold it. Again, totally okay if your brios are moving around. Hold it down, and then I can come in with my round nose pliers and make sure that I'm tightening it nice and easy. Rachel, any questions? Because I'm not looking at the chat box right now. I wish you were on camera so people can see that dance. Green goes with everything. I think the same thing about purple. I have never met a purple that was just like, oh, that's horrifying. It doesn't go with every single thing. All right. So I'm going to take my lovely little round nose pliers, make a loop. I use these mini ones just because I like the precision, but sometimes it works against me. So if you want a bigger loop, you're going to have to go closer to or farther away from the edge of your pliers, which is fine, All right, so I'm going to twist and wrap around. I always do wraps of 3, no particular reason. It just seems to work for me. And then sometimes I get paranoid, so I may not flip it off just yet. But there's the basis of our floppy flower right now. It's very, very loose, but we're going to fix that with the next step. But if I was making a multiple of these, I think I would probably stop at this and then make multiple flowers. I really want to make, I think, a bracelet that has multiple flowers on it because I think that would be cute. So I've got, oh, that's lovely. Got my flower right there. I'm going to move these out of the way because we are not using them yet. And I'm going to need my little plate with all of the 3mm peridot. Just a reminder, these were from our citrus celebration box, our latest box in the shop. And so if you would like some more of these, highly recommend, because these two beads together are just given me so much life. So I'm going back to my spool of wire, and I'm going to cut off another length of wire. And by length of wire, I mean, oh, I don't know, this much. I will measure it for you just so that you can know what I mean by this much. It's about 14 inches, probably too much. But again, I'd rather have too much wire than not enough. Hello, Jennifer. Glad you made it. So this is another stage where you need to consider how much impact you want your wire to have on your design. You want to make sure that wherever you start your wire, you're going to be able to come back and come through. So if you notice, my brios are not super tight on my flower. There's a little bit of wiggle room between each bead, and that's really so that I can fit my wire through and make sure that the peridot is also sitting the way I want it. So I'm going to take an edge of my 26 gauge wire, and I'm going to start right at the top, I think. Right, so all I'm doing is I'm taking that edge of the wire and I'm going to bend it on down and cement it, anchor it to the top of my flower. Do you have to do it from the top? No, absolutely not. All right, let's get that there. I'm going to be off camera for just a second, but all I'm doing is wrapping that around. I just realized it's a holiday weekend. Anyone have plans this holiday weekend? Okay, so I wrap that edge around twice so that my wire is now coming up and through. Hello, hello, Dale. Just like that. Now, if you're, depending on how you string it, you're probably going to wind up with a front of your piece and a back of the piece. And the front of the piece, of course, is going to be where it's all nice and lovely and beautiful. And the back of your piece might have some wire visible in places where you didn't necessarily want it visible. So that's just something else to keep in mind while you're doing this. I kind of like the organic feel, just so that, I don't know, it gives a little bit of a touch itself. But for this one, let's see if I can be as precise as possible. So I'm taking some of those 3mm peridot. I'm going to string one onto the edge of my wire, or onto the end of my wire. And then I'm just going to start, again, starting from the back to the front. I'm going to take it and wrap it around nice and tight. So I'm holding my piece with my thumb and my forefinger just so that the brios really don't move and get in the way. But it also keeps it nice and stiff, and it helps me know where my wire is going to lay. All right, so you can see the start, the little peridot right there. Because this is our first one, I'm probably going to do it twice, just to cause that little anchor. Ooh, party at Janet's house. Except, Janet, how hot is it where you are today? Maybe no party. I might need to stay here. Okay, one peridot down. So I'm going to take these and work my way around the circle. And you can already see, oh, look, this one just happens to hold the pear brio in place. Nice and stiff. Yeah, I have no plans this holiday weekend. It's strange. I was looking at my calendar like, oh, wait a second. There's no camping trip. There's no hike. What's going on here? All right, so again, thinking about how much visibility you want your wire to have, you can decide where to go next. And this is kind of the organic-y, flowy piece to it, right? So you could go right next to the other one. And in doing so, what you'll find is that your peridot is really going to sit on top and make like a second layer of your flower. Or if you want it a little bit looser, I would recommend going maybe to one of the sides of the brio. So skipping that Orion over, going behind, and carefully pulling it through so that your wire doesn't get a little kink in it. Pull, pull, pull. When you're working with 26, 28, or 30, make sure that you're not pulling your wire too tight, though. You want it to be snug. You want it to lay in the right place, but you don't want to pull so hard that you damage the brios. Oh, congratulations, Pamela. All right. Brios. What I like about these brios is that they're super shiny with all those facets. Only 90. No thanks. I'm fragile. My perfect temperatures are between 65 and 72. Fragile and spoiled with our weather here. All right. The other tool that would probably be helpful, but I forgot to pull out before this class, is a pair of nylon jaw pliers, because those will help smooth and straighten your wire. Looks like ours are not here, so I will keep going. Unless Jesse has a pair on his desk. Oh. Ooh, Maya, enjoy. I've seen it a couple times. Okay. Bead. Let's see. I want it to go there. I actually like that touch of the little copper. Copper's my favorite. I guess rose gold would be my favorite, but copper is my favorite. Okay. So around, through, very simple. Not a lot. I could make a pile of these flowers and then have all the flowers in the world, but then what would I do with them? A linked necklace might be nice. It might be very nice, especially if they were all in amethyst. They're already 31 minutes in. All right. So again, it's really dependent on your design, how you want to have your peridot sit. Doesn't always come out to be a perfect circle. And the reason for that is it really depends on how much space you left when you were stringing your flowers. So if you want it ideally to be a more perfect circle of peridot that gets, or whatever 3mm bead you're using, when you're originally stringing your pear brios, and right before you make your loop, you're going to leave just a little bit more room for the wire to sit. And that will help make your piece a little bit more symmetrical. All right. I like it here. Do-do-do. Oh, this is a great color combination. I am loving this. So just a reminder, if you're just joining us, I'm using pear brios in amethyst and peach moonstone. And we are stringing this little flower component using 26 gauge wire. You could also use 28 if you're a little bit nervous with wire and you want just a little bit more room to play around with. Because even with 26 gauge, sometimes the holes can be just a little bit too tight. That's why you see me like abandoning a couple of pieces. Like this one, I need to just move away. Move away. Maya, yes. There is not a musical we do not know. Alrighty. All right. That one looks like it was meant to sit right there. I love it when it works out like that. Like, oh, where should it go? How about right there? I can't believe it's September, y'all. I mean, on what, Sunday, Monday? September. Where did the year go? When I think about how this year started with like no intention of leaving teaching to where I am now, that's quite a big jump. That was just 9 months ago. Do-do-do. We frequently sing musicals here in the shop at the top of our lungs, or not, depending on who's here. Like, I love it when I'm the only one here, like early in the morning or sometimes late at night, because the stairwell has like awesome acoustics, as does the bathroom. And so anytime I'm in either place, there will be singing. Like, stairwells were meant for song. This peridot is fighting me, but I won. All right. We're almost done. Do I miss teaching in a classroom? Sometimes. I actually miss the structure a lot. Because when you're a teacher, right, you have an hour to plan and you have to use that time effectively. And so I found myself lost without my lesson plan book that shows me what exactly I have to do every 10, 15, 20, or 30 minutes. That was the big adjustment. Like, what do you mean I don't have to be to work at a certain time? That's dangerous. But recently I've started just doing it anyway, like having my normal school schedule. Although it feels a little bit silly because during the school year, I would frequently get up at like 3:30 or 4, and I really don't have to do that for the shop. So my tail that I left out of paranoia just got caught up, but I'm gonna move it. All right, here's my peridot. I can probably put in 2 more. And I think I will go ahead and snip those now. I'm feeling much less anxious about them. Snip, snip, like that. And then I'll worry about the little smoothing it later. Oh, that's pretty. It's almost like a star. Almost. This one is a good peridot. I will tell you what's nice. What transition from teaching to working here at the shop that I do not miss at all, and that is having set bathroom times. Like, I can just get up and leave and everything is fine. Oh yeah. And I feel like I should put one last peridot there. Like, I think that space is calling me. I must listen to the beads. But I'm going to do it with a little bit of a twist. So I've worked my way all the way around. I'm going to tie in that last little peridot. Oh, Elizabeth, 103 degrees? No. Oh. All right, get that on. All right, I'm going to carefully bring this up. I have more room that way, so I'm going to go there so that it kind of blends in with where my loop is. And my wire's at the back of my piece, but I want it in the front, so I'm going to pull it through from back to front. And this is where you can put a centerpiece bead. So I'm using the Appetites because they're brand new to the shop, y'all. They came in this week and I instantly snatched them out of the box. I was like, this is a me bead. It's so blue and so lovely, and it's all natural. Like, this is not a dyed bead. This plate of blue amazingness. I could just scream. Okay. So I'm using this Appetite in the middle to sit just like that. Does it have to be Appetite? No. You can use any 8mm bead. You could probably go for a 10mm and then have it sit like on top. I just like the facets on this, and of course that stunning blue color. So I have my Appetite situated right there like that. And then I'm going to very carefully choose a location where I can tie it down to the other side. So like, I see some copper there already. Will that work? Probably not. Probably not. Because you do want it to be locked in fairly close to the middle. But I can see that copper there, so that's where I'm going to go. Right? It's so lovely. So if you were on last night's sale, that's when we debuted this appetite, and it went very, very fast. But guess what? We've had some more. So you can absolutely click on that link that Rachel Malice shared for us and pick some up for your own designs. Highly recommend, because again, that blue is just gorgeous. It's like perfect Caribbean blue. And you can see now that we've completely strung our apparito around, the brios aren't going anywhere. They are 100% stiff. Y'all, I am looking at this and I'm seeing an earring. Do you see it with me? I don't know. Maybe you're a more delicate earring wearer, but I think large earrings are fun too. Ooh. All right, so now I'm just going to pass my wire in and out a couple of times. It might be fun as an alternate, especially if you have some copper hanging down, to maybe dangle another brio at the bottom. Possibilities. All right, so I wrapped around 3 times, and I'm going to snip. And that is kind of the basic. That is the basic flower, brio flower that we have. So in terms of taking this flower, what do you do with it? Again, I see a brooch. I see earrings. I, of course, see a necklace. And I wore this out this morning. Got a lot of compliments from a lot of different people about how it popped and how it was shining in the sun. And again, I think a bracelet has possibility, especially if you leave room when you're stringing and you have that another loop on this side. I might have to experiment with that version. So, or yes, Pamela, component in a focal, or a component focal in a bracelet. So in terms of stringing, what I did for this particular piece was I cut my soft flex, and then I had my 2 peridot. And I always start off stringing necklaces from the middle. Maybe you are one of those angelic, creative, amazing people that can start from one end, or you lay it out in a pattern and you just go from one end to the other. I can do that, but it requires a lot of thought. So I prefer just kind of starting from the middle of whatever necklace I'm designing. That way I can improvise, adapt, and overcome as needed. So I have a peridot, a brio, an Orion spacer, the apatite, and then another Orion spacer. And that's kind of where I wanted to focus some more brios, just so that that lovely peach tone didn't get stuck just on the pendant and it was incorporated in the necklace. Because I have my combined flower, there are some opportunities to change. Ooh, a hat pin would be lovely. Like, do I do combined brios? That would make sense, right? Let's see, I can move this down a little bit. Amethyst brio, peach moonstone brio. Have it kind of play around with that. And of course, our Orions. What do you think about combined? I could also do just peach or just amethyst. Again, I want you guys to have some choice. I think I like the combined. What do you think? So by combined, I mean the amethyst and then the peach. I guess I could do peach and then amethyst, but that seems weird, right? Amethyst starts with A. We'll alphabetize our brios. All right. I'm looking for feedback and I'm not seeing any feedback. So I think combined will have to be the way I go. All right, so with my original, oh, thank you. Combined. I love it. I've got some answers. With my original necklace, I did not string it all the way. I stopped about 4 or 5 inches in and then attached chain to the rest and then a toggle. Probably will do the same thing for this one. Just kind of go a little bit of the ways up and then attach some sort of a chain. I don't want to use this one though. I want to use a different chain, maybe a shiny chain. So that means when I'm coming to my soft flex, I'm going to cut about, let's see, if I want 5 inches on either side, that means Shyra's paranoid and she's going to cut 13 inches off. Again, I like having room, having space. Okay. So the other thing I do that's maybe weird, y'all, I don't know, is I'm not going to attach my pendant until the end. It's just going to sit down here. Instead, I'm going to get started with my 2 peridot. And the reason I'm starting with the littles is so that they'll sit right against the jump ring. And it'll look like it's beautifully incorporated. You're like, oh, she lives dangerously. I don't know if I want to copy the same pattern. I guess it can't hurt. Can't hurt. All right, so my 2 little peridot. The other reason why I'm using the peridot or whatever 3mm bead is because of the way that the pear brioches sit. Right? If I was going to use a round bead or some other kind of bead, then what would happen is that there would be some awkward space where the soft flex showed through. And while soft flex is beautiful, I do not want it visible in this particular part of my necklace. And here we go. This is where the part where it's a little tricky sometimes with these brios, and you don't want to force them in because brios do break, unfortunately. Sorry for being off camera, y'all. Just need to get it closer to my face. I went to the eye doctor recently. Man, eye doctors, Lord love them. They're like, how much time do you spend outside? Do you have some eye damage? I spend a lot of time outside. Thank you so much. How much time do you spend doing close work? Oh, you mean like beading? Yeah, that's kind of my job. So not only do I have my distance prescription glasses, I have readers for computer and beading, and then I have my pickleball sunglasses for being outside for long times. Let's go. If you do not have the patience and you're like, oh, this is going to take forever to make sure that these brios get on, I would recommend switching from medium to fine. Totally works. I did use medium in my other piece. I think the amethyst brios are just a little bit more picky. Right, there we go. I see you. I see you on the other side. All right. So I am following my other pattern. So I have my peridot, my brios, more peridot, the Orion spacer, and then finally the apatite. Peridot. And I know someone might be thinking, well, why don't you just get progressives for my glasses? I had them, did not like them. Or eye surgery. That's my next step. fix these eyes so I can bead and play pickleball at the same time. Maybe. All right, so peridot, brio, peridot, Orion spacer, appetite time. My goodness. The Tom is just going too fast. I surround my appetite with another Orion spacer. And then we do another peridot and then our peach moonstone. Peridot, peridot. Hello, where is the hole? There we go. When I was thinking of alternate color pathways, I was like, ooh, this is the perfect time for me to use the black spinel. The black spinel is 2.5 millimeters. Not going to happen. That's a Rachel Mellis type size. All right. And then we have our moonstone. Want to make sure I get ones with good holes. No, Michelle, I love it because maybe I would have forgotten. Who knows? It is very silent here right now. And I can totally see myself just jabbering away, forgetting to use peach moonstone instead of the amethyst. Or use amethyst instead of the peach moonstone. There I go. All right. All right. This one works perfectly on this side. I might just have to trim the other side of my soft flex. I think that's the issue right there. All right, slide down there. Ooh, that's pretty. Deborah, it absolutely will be available right after it ends. I'm going to trim this just because it's a little bit janky. Sometimes that happens. And hopefully it'll work better now with the hole. But that's the one that I don't like. All right, get on in there. Yeah, absolutely. I would, if I was doing this again, I would probably just recommend fine for safety. It's working fine with the medium. And again, that's what I used in my first one, and that's what I'm using now. But fine would go a little bit faster. Okay. So I've got my first one, my appetite, my peach moonstone, and so that means I finish with peridot. Little dots of peridot. Like that. And then this would be the part where I do Orion spacer. Like so. Pick up 2 more beautiful blue appetite. And then another Orion spacer. That is absolutely correct, Deborah. You could totally stop there and make a loop and form an earring. I think I just want to make 2, 3, or 4, or 5, or 6 flowers. Oh, pretty, pretty. As I drop it, pretty, pretty. Like that. So I think I will, because Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so obviously I'm not going to be able to finish this, but I will finish it because I want to wear it. I'm loving these colors. I'm going to attach my pendant, my flower pendant, to the stalk of my necklace using just my chain nose and my round nose. So stick it on there. Let's go. Now here's my danger. Can I do it without dropping it? I've been there where I have dropped it, and it's been sadness and awful, but I'm taking the risk. This is my Friday adventure. Isn't my life glamorous? Friday adventure, getting the jump ring on without missing my piece, which I think I did. So look at what we've done, you guys. We have this jeweled brio flower, and then we have the start of what's going to be an amazing, amazing necklace. Are there any questions? I think this is a really simple technique that is easy to pick up. Like, I found that the hardest thing about it, or the most challenging piece, is just maybe, well, I think for this particular one, it was a little bit of a struggle with the medium for some reason today. That wasn't a struggle a couple days ago. But it's just a pretty simple technique. What I want to play with, and what I challenge all of you to play with, because I kind of have an idea. I dreamt about it last night. How do we make a double flower? Ooh. I'm thinking I know how, but I want to make a double layered flower, and I want it to be just as solid as this one so that it doesn't move. And even that one would be perfect earring size. All right, living dangerously indeed. I'm so glad you're excited to try the technique. All right. Oh, are we challenging Danielle? Danielle, can you make a double flower? The Orion spacers are still available. I think Rachel has the links for you. Ooh, a peach moonstone sunflower would be gorgeous. Here, I'll keep both of us together. Let's go this way. And we'll make this piece bigger. Pretty. Oh my goodness. Okay, Danielle, you try and I'll try too. Okay, and then we'll compare notes. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for attending class today. And thank you for people catching the replay. I know for myself, I tend to always kind of watch class just to see what the hang of it is, and then watch it again when I want to make the piece. So replayers, you are very much appreciated, and we love having you as well. Danielle, me too. I would buy Orion spacers in every single color. If you have any questions that weren't answered or any ideas that you want to share, please go ahead. Feel free to leave a comment on this video. I'll be checking tonight, tomorrow, and probably for the next few days, just so that I can respond to any questions or comments that you might have. And with that, my friends, we are pretty much finished. Simple technique with great presence. I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are located in the world. And again, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead, leave them below the video, and I will talk with you soon. Goodbye, everyone.